some ministry time based off of the song "I Can See Clearly Now," originally written by Johnny Nash. We got a cover version for you from Jeff Moore and The Distance that was done in 1993. So let's get into our ministry time, talking about going through storms and being able to get clearly, to see clearly on the other side. So there are two kinds of people in this world. There's those who are going through crisis and those that are going to be going through crisis. So no matter what, there's always going to be challenges. There's always going to be hard times in our life. I'd love to say that everything's going to be peachy all the time, but that just isn't the case. We're always going to have tests and trials. But here's the good news is that storms don't last forever. They have a beginning, they have a middle, and they have an end. Sure, there will be other storms to follow, but hopefully there are some rainbows in between. And when the rain is gone and the rainbow comes out, we have the promise that God is on our side, that He is watching over. You know, we so much is made of the rainbow and some other meanings today, but, you know, God originally made the rainbow as a promise that He would never flood the earth again, and some great things in that. So here's some principles and things that we learn through storms. So there are protecting storms. When Jesus sent His disciples across the Sea of Galilee, He didn't promise them to calm the storms, but He did promise them a safe arrival. So no matter what you're going through, there's a safe way to get to the other side. They encountered a storm that was protecting them from themselves through the praise, the power that would have come their way if they ruled and reigned over the people with Jesus as kin would have certainly destroyed them. He was protecting them. So there are protecting storms. Then there is perfecting storms. It's like perfect, perfecting. That's when we go through trials and hardships in life that God allows. Sometimes these events seem random, but they never are, because we know from Romans 8, verse 28, that God causes all things to work together for the good of those who love Him and are called according to His purpose. The key there is God's purpose, His purpose for our lives that He wants. And then there are correcting storms. These are often storms we bring upon ourselves. We do some things, we make bad choices, so to speak. Remember, the Lord wanted us to mature in our faith, and one of the marks of God's love is for us to be a disciple and follow Jesus and do what He's called us to do. So here's some reminders. We've all been given the same commission Jonah did, to preach the gospel to the world. You know, that's the Great Commission. It talks about that in Matthew chapter 16, Mark, as well, the end of Mark. But it's up to us to reach and to reach other people. It's hard when non-believers call you out in your sin and say, you know, catch you in something that is wrong. It is better to be obedient to God's will so that your life is an example and not a contradiction. But the last thing we want to do is give God a bad name by being a bad representation of Christ. We want to be an example of Jesus and what He was on this earth. When people read the book of Jonah, they are so busy looking at the great fish that they miss the great God and what God did through this in saving many people in the land of Nineveh, in the place where Jonah was going. Now, Jonah was mad that all these people gave their life to the Lord. He didn't like them, but that was what God wanted. Ultimately, as Christians, when we live happily ever after, we want to live happily ever after, like the Disney movie, but that's not always the case. There might be some rough seas along the way. Are you prepared for storms in your life that are coming your way? Do you have a biblical perspective about the storms of your life that will help you to weather them when they come? And don't run from God. Run to God. So many people run from God, but we're called to run to God because He loves us. His plan is for you and I, and for us to better and pull for ourselves, to find the will of God in what He has for us. And just a little bit more on going through and counting it all joy when these things happen. It says in James 1:2-4, consider it pure joy, brothers and sisters, whenever you face trials of many kinds, because you know the testing of your faith produces perseverance. Let perseverance finish its work so you may mature and complete, lacking nothing. Are you joyful today? I ask you the question. Do you allow your joy to be full? Are you full of anxiety or fear, reducing income from being returned home, wondering about friends and family scattered around the country, or just counting the rolls of toilet paper you have if you have enough? They admit that joy isn't the first emotion I experience when I check the news or look at the latest update on Facebook or Instagram, what happens around the world. But the scripture reminds us that God intends to develop us through crisis we're facing together. Regarding the trial you're facing, just be instructed to consider it pure joy. God is asking us to choose our thoughts, to look at what's happening differently than the rest of the world. So remember to do that. When we focus on the things that He is doing and not on the things of the world, we're going to be in a better space. When we begin to look at the situation the way God sees it, we'll be full of His presence. So will you, as James put it in this verse, let perseverance finish its work? When you look at your personal situation through the lens of joy, put your faith into practice weeks ahead. I'm with you in the days ahead, and and just continue to look forward and meet the needs of others around you, and experience the joy that God has for you. So see clearly through. Have the right perspective. Count it all joy whenever you go through those storms. That there is going to be another side. The rainbow is coming. You will be able to see clearly, as this song talks about, when the rain is gone, when the storm is over. May God show you the awesome things that He has ahead for your life, and may it be a blessing and encouragement to you.